Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats and view live play-by-play and so much more on the same exact page that you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make money every moment with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Remember, we'll be going out to, I was going to say Berea.
Right.
Going out, where are the Browns? The Cavs in Independence?
Independence.
Yeah. So they're out in Independence, and Mikey McNuggets is out there, and Jason Lloyd's out there, and they'll talk with Kobe Altman.
So, Bull, they have actually already interviewed Kobe Altman.
Okay.
Our live hits are up in the air, but we'll get you guys live content today. After 12:30 is our window. As it comes, Mike and I are working on it right now. But for right now, we're going to stay with the Browns. And you guys mentioned Foreman earlier, who had 4 carries for 2 yards yesterday. It seems our run game is absolutely non-existent, and I'm wondering, who's to blame? Is it not in the game plan with Stefanski? Is it in the offensive line? Or is it in these running backs just not being able to produce?
I think it's all of the above.
I agree.
Now, Jerome Ford had a nice run on that last drive.
He did.
He broke a tackle. It was funny because Jason had texted Mike and I and said, Jerome Ford never breaks tackles. And then on that play, he did a good job. He broke that tackle, and that was a great run.
Yeah, it was.
Unfortunately, on the next play, they snap it too early with Nick Harris, and the drive falls apart. But that was a great run. But outside of that, they had the offensive line had no push. The running backs are not particularly good. And, early in the game, they were running the ball, and then they kind of went away from it, which – listen, they need you need to be balanced right now with the way the NFL is playing and the Browns' inability to hold up in pass blocking. They need to be more balanced, but it's tough when you can't run block and you don't have particularly good running backs. It's a bad situation.
Who are you? For me, I always liked up front. I always liked when I'm running my zone plays, running duo plays. What I want to do is, if I got bigger offensive linemen, what I want to do is empower them to fire off the football, get downhill, and use double teams to get to the next level. Sometimes when you're doing single blocking, when you're just trying to have guys reach guys, you got people that the smaller linebackers are like JOK. It's a different game. Linebackers are not going to engage with your guards. They're going to play basketball in a phone booth. You can't guard them because they're athletes, and they're much lighter, much quicker, and all those moves and different things destroy the play in the backfield because they're not engaging. So what do you have to do? You have to move the first layer of the defensive line by double teaming at the point of attack, and then wherever the linebacker declares, take them that way. Then you let the running back cut off of that. You let your running back have the vision to say, I'm going to read where, hey, you hear? I'm going to cut the other way. You cut off those things and you can get some nice movement up front and you can make guys miss. Another thing is, it's very difficult to run the ball out of shotgun. You just don't have the level of leverage when you're in a 2-point stance.
I agree with that.
You just don't. And it's difficult for you to get a level of push when guys in the defensive line are teeing off on you, hitting you in the face, knocking you backwards, and now the running back is 6 yards deep, running laterally with no speed downhill.
And it's hard to run when most of and this is some of this is on Deshaun, some of it's on the game plan, and most of it is just because the offensive line can't hold up. The Browns are throwing almost every pass short. Mm-hmm. Behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, or within 5 yards.
Are we 75% pass? I think we lead the league in passing.
But the fact that
we're heavy,
that every throw is short, like if you're the other team, you've got so many guys in the box because you know that even if they throw, it's going to be a short pass.
Sure.
So
there's
everybody's
no threat
right
of
up
stretching the field.
Right, very little of that right now.
And that's why you get the holding penalties. The reason. And it's a lot of technique, man. That's why sometimes if you're not used to watching tape on offensive linemen, there's a lot of lazy steps, false steps where you're supposed to be getting depth and trying to reach somebody, and you're taking your foot up, putting it up, and putting it at the same time, and now the defender is already into you, and now you're using your arms. A lot of this grabbing stuff we saw with Nick Harris. People say that was a ticky-tack foul. Well, listen, the problem is when they teach you as an offensive lineman, and this is why I have a problem with the coaching. You can't you guys are 3 years in with Deshaun Watson. When you have a scrambling quarterback, they teach you when the defensive lineman goes and changes direction, that's because your quarterback is moving.
Right, yeah.
You have to let him go. They do drills like this. You're holding. When he goes to go this way and he turns and pulls, it's very obvious because now you can see this.
It's open.
It's open.
Right,
You're moving. And they teach you hands off and kind of shield. Hands off and get in the way. Hands off and just be in the way a little bit. The quarterback will account for that. And the Browns still don't understand that. That's why they get so many holding penalties, is because they're so hyper. Oh, I got him. I got my guy. And then, you got to disengage. You have to. Yeah. Or they're going to call those plays. And that's why I'm saying it just doesn't look like they're being coached up to the level of detail that needs to be done. It's just sloppy. They don't even look like they know who to pick up, guys.
Can we chalk that up to basically going through the motions in training camp with no preseason?
That's a big
reps
part.
For anybody.
I don't think we can blame that anymore.
No,
and
they're
not the only team that did that.
No, but Bull, typically, if the preseason is 4 games, it gives you 4 games to work out the kinks. We're still working out the kinks, and we're 4 games into the regular season.
I was talking to my brother. He played offensive line, played Division I, and he played guard, he played tackle. So, he's saying, like, what happens is offensive linemen need time. The Hogs need time to ramp up. And what that means is getting your legs up underneath you. He's like, we're never really in shape. He's that's why they try to keep the wear and tear away from linemen, because they're just massive freaks of nature with a lot of weight on their frame.
Right.
And what they try to do is lessen your workload. He said, but it takes us time to get in football shape. And football shape is, can I get in my stance? Can I start? Can I knock people off the ball and do it 3 seconds, 1 to 1,000, 2 1,000, and keep doing it over and over again? Sometimes when you're not in shape, what happens is you get out of position, because instead of you getting your feet up underneath you and understanding you got your powerful base and you're in shape and you got the wind and you got your stamina, now all of a sudden you're leaning over, you're lazy, you don't get in. Hey, big dude's got a lot of weight, bull. Sometimes you don't want to. You don't went over and tie your shoes. Sometimes you don't. You're like, man, my back hurt, my knees hurt, and then you start doing this, and you start doing this. I was
getting out of your technique,
and all of them, even Joe Bitonio. I don't remember Joe Bitonio looking that heavy. Everybody up front, if you watch the 2 fronts, it looks like they are out of shape. Even Myles Garrett was winded the first game against the Cowboys. It takes time to ramp that up, and I don't know if they ran Camp Cupcake. One thing that we always used to have was, if you was injured, you conditioned. Like, we
get on the bike.
It was test. It was running and bike test. You had to beat certain things. Like, and people started being like, I ain't going to be injured. I might as well practice. Yeah. I ain't going to be sitting out. I'm not going to be doing conditioning tests. But it just looks like up front, they're out of shape. They're sluggish. That energy level isn't there. They don't have that pop. And it's not going to get better because, now DeJuan Jones is dealing with knees. Teller's out. Joel looks like he's working his way into shape. At least Zach Zenner, I thought, except on the last play when he didn't block anybody, which goes to the thought process that they're up front, they don't have their rules down. There's a set of rules that we all know. Like, I know that I got the inside guy on this play, and I know that anytime a defensive lineman comes this way, defenders all have a gap, right? And we all are accountable for one. So if somebody leaves my gap, what's coming? Somebody's going to come fill that gap.
Right.
Because everyone has one. And right now, it's just like they don't have general principles, because this is not the first time that an offensive lineman has let a guy go inside, spun around, saw another guy come outside, and don't block anybody.
We've seen it a number of times each week this season.
Each week.
Every time the defensive line does something different, I guess, there's always a problem.
There's always leakage.
Yeah.